He died fighting for his brothers. Niger ambush survivor says a fallen U.S. soldier. Their accounts, provided in separate interviews, raise questions about why a second, potentially more dangerous mission was tacked on late in the day even after a second team that was supposed to join them was unable to do so. What was started as a reconnaissance mission to meet with local leaders turned into a kill or capture mission aimed at a high-value target, according to both sources. That target, codenamed Naylor Road, has ties to both Al-Qaeda and ISIS, according to the intelligence official. According to multiple intelligence sources, this target is one of the U.S.'s top 3 objectives in Niger, one that the U.S. has been actively pursuing. But that change in plan meant that the team was out for over 24 hours and put them at greater risk. They should have been up and back in a day. Because they were up the so-f long on a mission that morphed, they were spotted, surveilled and ultimately hit, the official said. Despite being massively outnumbered, the American and Nigerian troops held their own, including Sergeant La David Johnson, who was killed in the ambush, the sources told ABC News. He was the best kid you could ask for, the survivor said of Johnson, who fought back the militants with machine gun fire from the back of a pickup truck, before grabbing a sniper rifle and continuing to shoot. The guy's a true war hero, the survivor added. I really want his wife and kids to know that. The team of 12 Americans set out with 30 Nigerian soldiers in the early morning on October 3, according to the sources and confirmed by General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who on Monday offered the first official timeline of events for the ambush in Niger. They rode in 6 to 8 vehicles, 3 of them American. They were headed from Niamey, Niger's capital, to a village 85 kilometers to the north, called Tiloa. Their pre-mission threat assessment never considered the possibility of 50 to 60 enemy combatants attacking them, according to the official. That matches what Dunford told reporters on Monday. He also added that the leaders on the ground assessed that contact with the enemy was unlikely. On their way back, the team received a call from the base back in Niamey, asking them to turn around and kill or capture a high-value target who is a known Al-Qaeda and ISIS operative, according to 2 senior officials. There was high confidence that the target was in the area, the sources told ABC News. A second U.S. Special Forces team was directed to meet up with their patrol, but when they could not, the original 12-member team and their Nigerian partners were told to proceed anyway. The team arrived at the target location in the early morning hours of October 4, but found nothing. They burned the remnants of the abandoned campsite and headed back south as the sun came up, stopping back through a nearby village called Tongo Tongo around 8:30 a.m. There, the Nigerian force requested they stop to eat, while U.S. soldiers met with a village elder, who was obviously and deliberately trying to stall them, according to the official. He was definitely stalling as long as he could to keep us there, the survivor said, saying he had an entourage, showed the unit a child with an illness, and even grabbed a goat he wanted to prepare for them. But the unit suspected something was definitely wrong when they saw 2 motorcycle riders watch them and race out of the village. The hair on the back of their necks stood up, a U.S. official told ABC News. It was around mid-morning or midday by the time the team departed the village. According to the survivor, they had only gone a few hundred yards when they came under fire from machine guns, mortars, and rocket-propelled grenades. An assessment is still underway to determine who ambushed the patrol, but the survivor said it is absolutely possible that the high-value target was involved. Dunford said Monday the Pentagon assessment is that it is an ISIS-affiliated group. The unit began returning fire, including with their own machine guns mounted on 2 of the American vehicles, according to the senior official. One vehicle was hit by a mortar and another vehicle was disabled by gunfire. Exactly how and where Johnson died remains unclear, but the survivor praised him as a war hero who went above and beyond to defend his team. Without a doubt, his courage and bravery in action that day were above and beyond expectation. He died fighting for his brothers on his team. You can quote that verbatim, the survivor added. He grabbed any and every weapon available to him. The guy is a true war hero. 1 hour into the fight, the unit requested support, with an unarmed drone reaching them in minutes, according to Dunford. The senior intelligence official credited the French forces who responded with saving our bacon. The French saved our men. Yes, we lost 4. But we would have lost everybody if it wasn't for the French, the official told ABC News. Within an hour of the calls, and 2 hours after the firefight started, French Mirage fighter jets came overhead, Dunford confirmed. They flew low to scare off the ISIS-affiliated fighters. They did not drop bombs, however, because they didn't know exactly where our guys were situated, the official said. Shortly after, French special forces from Ouagadougou in neighboring Burkina Faso arrived on attack helicopters, each with 1 or 2 U.S. Green Berets. French helicopters evacuated the wounded to Niamey, Niger's capital. But it wasn't until 2 days later on the evening of October 6, according to Dunford, that Johnson's body was found. The top general denied that the U.S. ever left him behind, arguing that French, American, or Nigerian troops were in the area at all times until his body was recovered. The survivor described an all-out effort to find Johnson during those 48 hours, saying he was missing, but presumed alive. Until his death was confirmed, every asset was devoted to recovering him, the survivor said. We threw everything we had at it. Literally hundreds of people were focused on getting La David back. It was Nigerian forces that eventually found Johnson's body, according to Dunford. The White House was notified as soon as there was a report of a missing soldier, according to Dunford, meaning sometime on the evening of October 4. Soldier killed in Niger was famous for bike stunts before the army years before La David Johnson would earn national attention as a fallen soldier at the center of a controversy involving President Donald Trump. He gained some local attention for his showmanship. In 2013, before he joined the military, Johnson was known as Wheelie King in Miami Gardens because he would ride his bike popped up and without a front wheel. He was featured in a segment on ABC affiliate WPLG, which dubbed him the King of Pop for his mastery of the move. Johnson, who was 21 years old at the time of the segment, told the station that he rode his bike from his home in Miami Gardens to work at a Walmart in Pembroke Pines, 2 areas that are roughly 7 miles apart. I was very angry at Trump, says Myeshia Johnson, widow of fallen soldier. Heartbroken widow can't imagine life without fallen soldier who's at center of latest Trump standoff. I do it for fun, he told WPLG. He acknowledged that riding with one wheel is a challenge but he enjoyed it. They say I'm crazy, he said. The wheeling didn't stop there, as he posted several videos to YouTube in 2014. One shows him popping a wheelie without a second wheel while on a highway barrier, and another features him riding around a parking lot on a bike. Now those videos are something that his widow, Myeshia Johnson, is going to use to help remind his children of him. We have a lot of memories and videos and pictures and great times with him that we'll cherish forever, she told CBS Miami. The Johnsons have 2 children, a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son, and another daughter on the way. During an interview on Good Morning America, Myeshia Johnson shared how she thinks her husband should be remembered. I want the world to know how great of a soldier my husband was and a loving and caring father and husband he was to our family, she said. La David Johnson was one of 4 U.S. soldiers killed in an ambush in Niger this month. Family of fallen soldier speechless over $25,000 check from Trump. The family of a fallen soldier thrust into the national spotlight by the president's promise months ago of a $25,000 gift was left speechless when they finally received the check. I'm still speechless, Jesse Baldridge told ABC affiliate WTVD. We are so moved and grateful, and we promise to use the money to honor Dylan's legacy. The family spoke exclusively to WTVD after getting the check and a letter from the president on Monday. When Chris and Jesse Baldridge's son, Corporal Dylan C. Baldridge, was killed in Afghanistan in June, the grieving family received a condolence call from President Trump. To their surprise, the president offered to give the family a $25,000 gift. But after weeks passed and the check never came, the Baldridges say they didn't raise the issue. We just thought he was saying something nice, Jesse Baldridge said. We got a condolence letter from him, a few weeks later, and there was no check, and we kind of joked about it. We didn't take to social media and didn't complain. But the story came to national attention after an article by the Washington Post mentioned the president's unusual offer, and the delay in its completion. White House officials responded after being asked about the president's promise last week, saying the check was in the mail. The officials said a substantial process is involved in the president's interactions with the public and that the check had been in the pipeline since Trump's initial call with the family. The check, shown to WTVD, was dated for October 18, the same date the White House was asked to respond to the Washington Post article. Spokeswoman Lindsay Walters hit back forcefully at the suggestion that the president didn't intend to follow through on his gesture to the family. It's disgusting that the media is taking something that should be recognized as a generous and sincere gesture, made privately by the president, and using it to advance the media's biased agenda, Walters said. It was not clear if the president had made similar offers to other Gold Star families. NFL denies banning Janet Jackson from Super Bowl almost 14 years after wardrobe malfunction. It's been almost 14 years since Justin Timberlake last performed at the Super Bowl, introducing the world to the phrase wardrobe malfunction. On Sunday, Timberlake announced his return to the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show, but there was no mention of Janet Jackson. That is, until her fans, angry about what happened the last time they performed together, forced the NFL to issue a statement saying she hasn't been banned from the Super Bowl. In 2004, the former NSYNC band member was performing his hit song Rock Your Body at the Super Bowl with Jackson when he said he unintentionally pulled off Jackson's nipple guard, briefly exposing her right breast. A national uproar then ensued. I do have the time. Half the time. Pepsi halftime #spli at Pepsi at NFL at Jimmy Fallon at Fallon Tonight. Timberlake, 36, tweeted the news that he would be the next halftime performer along with a video featuring Jimmy Fallon. Even as some fans demand that Jackson be included in the halftime show, there's been widespread speculation that she's been banned from the Super Bowl. Earlier today, the NFL released a statement addressing the matter. There's no ban. We are not going to comment on any speculation regarding potential guests. There may be no guests. Along with Pepsi, we're excited to have Justin Timberlake. Like the elite NFL players who can run, catch, and block, Justin can do it all: sing, dance, act and entertain. He's the ultimate global superstar who we know will put on an entertaining and unifying show that will appeal to the massive worldwide audience. The February 4, 2018, performance will mark Timberlake's third Super Bowl halftime appearance, the most for any entertainer, according to the Associated Press. Asked during NBC's Sunday Night Football about the infamous incident from his last appearance, Timberlake vowed, "That won't happen this time." Here's a quick primer on what happened in 2004. 1. The incident: MTV produced the 2004 halftime show with a roster of performers, Nelly, Diddy and Kid Rock, headlined by Janet Jackson. Timberlake was to be the final performer, and Jackson remained on stage dancing alongside him as he performed Rock Your Body. With the song's closing line, "Bet I'll Have You Naked," he then reached with his left hand for her top in what her spokesperson said had been a carefully planned move to remove part of her clothing. Unfortunately, Timberlake also pulled off Jackson's nipple guard, exposing her breast to an estimated 140 million viewers watching live. Less than a second later, Jackson quickly covered herself as the network cut away to a distant long shot and fireworks display. 2. Apologies: the incident became known as Nipplegate, and the apologies came swiftly. Jackson was one of the first to issue an apology. Her spokesman called the incident a malfunction of the wardrobe, saying it was not intentional and Timberlake was supposed to pull away the bustier and leave the red lace bra. That was followed by MTV, which said the tearing of Jackson's costume was unrehearsed, unplanned, completely unintentional and was inconsistent with assurances we had about the content of the performance. Timberlake responded, "I am sorry if anyone was offended by the wardrobe malfunction during the halftime performance at the Super Bowl. It was not intentional and is regrettable. 3. FCC. Despite all the apologies, including from the network, CBS was fined a record $550,000 for the incident by the Federal Communications Commission, which received over 500,000 complaints. The fine was ultimately voided in 2011. The FCC also increased its fine per indecency violation from $27,500 to $325,000, and many networks instituted a 5-second delay during some live TV performances that continues today. 4. Grammy slate. That week, Jackson's invitation to perform at the 2004 Grammy Awards telecast was withdrawn. She was then re-invited with the caveat that she apologize for the halftime show. She declined. Timberlake did attend and won the award for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance for Cry Me a River. In his speech, he once again apologized for what happened during the halftime show. "I know it's been a rough week on everybody," he said to audience cheers. "What occurred was unintentional, completely regrettable, and I apologize if you guys were offended." 5. Jackson. Meanwhile, Jackson suffered the biggest backlash. Viacom, the owner of CBS, and its subsidiaries blacklisted Jackson's music and videos, and her next album, Damn It Joe, underperformed compared to previous ones, though it still managed to debut at number 2 on the Billboard 200. Months after it happened, she called the incident truly embarrassing, but told USA Today, "There are much worse things in the world, and for this to be such a focus, I don't understand." She also questioned the ferocity of the attacks on her at a time when Americans were divided over the Second Gulf War. "It was just perfect timing to take people's focus off of other things," she told the newspaper. "That's what happens, and it happened to me." Female performers at the Super Bowl also took a hit. The NFL turned to more classic rock acts such as the Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen and did not feature another female act until Madonna performed in 2012. Although Timberlake never made a public apology to Jackson, he did cover one of her songs during his 2013 tour, which was seen as something of an apology. Now some fans are wondering if perhaps Timberlake has something bigger planned, like making Jackson a surprise performer at his next halftime show. "I was very angry at Trump," says Myeshia Johnson, widow of fallen soldier. The pregnant widow of U.S. Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, who was among 4 U.S. service members killed in Niger this month, expressed a mix of blame and sorrow today on Good Morning America, saying she was very angry about President Donald Trump's condolence phone call and upset because she says he struggled to remember my husband's name. "I heard him stumbling on trying to remember my husband's name, and that's what hurt me the most, because if my husband is out here fighting for our country and he risked his life for our country, why can't you remember his name?" said Johnson, who had known her husband since she was 6 years old. "That's what made me upset and cry even more, because my husband was an awesome soldier." After Myeshia Johnson's interview aired, Trump argued on Twitter today that he said LaDavid Johnson's name from the beginning and without hesitation. Representative Frederica Wilson, D. Florida, last week adamantly defended her version of Trump's phone call to Myeshia Johnson in an interview with ABC News. Wilson, who was accompanying Johnson to Dover Air Force Base when Trump called, heard him on speakerphone attempting to console her. "I heard him say, 'Well, I guess you know he knew what he was signing up for. But it still hurts,'" Wilson told ABC News. Trump called her description a total fabrication. But Johnson today said Wilson was 100% correct about the call from Trump, saying this morning, "Why would we fabricate something like that?" Johnson said she was barred from seeing her husband's body and was not given a straight story on how he died in Niger. "He was 25. I need to see him so I will know that that is my husband," said Johnson, who's expecting to give birth to their daughter in January. She added, "They won't show me a finger, a hand. I know my husband's body from head to toe, and they won't let me see anything." She said the casket her husband came home in, adorned with the U.S. flag, remains a mystery box for her. "I don't know what's in that box," she said. "It could be empty, For all I know. Johnson added, I need to see my husband. As for the circumstances of her husband's death, she said she wants to know why it took soldiers 48 hours to find my husband. I don't know how he got killed, where he got killed or anything, she said. I don't know that part. They never told me, and that's what I've been trying to find out since day one, since October 4th. Asked today what she wants people to know about her husband, she said, I want the world to know how great of a soldier my husband was and a loving and caring father and husband he was to our family.